Hi everyone. This video will be a hands-on on the HTTP cookies topic. I have made a previous video explaining what HTTP cookies are, and even if you know it or not, I strongly recommend you to go to that video. I will left the link here in the comments. It's just about 10 minutes, and in this video I suppose you have that background and that you also know how to deal with PHP and JavaScript. That will be the two languages I will be using for the examples I will make here. Let's check how to store, how to retrieve, and how to delete cookies in a web browser, in the server side with PHP and in the client side with JavaScript. The environment we will be using is the Visual Studio Code that is here in the left, and just a common Google Chrome browser in incognito mode, so we have no cookie at the beginning. And every time I make a change here is instantaneously reflected in the server. As you can see, if I put it perfectly and save, if we refresh here, okay. And well, let's start. First, we have to say that in Google Chrome you have three main ways to check your cookies. The first one is by clicking here and watching the cookies. You can click and see the content. The second one is by clicking in the dots and going to settings. Is a very tricky way, and the way that I will be using and I recommend the most is by using the Google Chrome developer tools. You can access it by hitting F12. If you hit F12 you will get this layout, and you have to go to application here, unfold cookies, click in the name of the web page, and this is a table where you will have all the cookies of this web page and all the properties of each cookie. So we will be using this table because it's the way that shows you the most information about the cookies you have. So say that, let's start. For saving cookies with PHP, let's open a PHP block code, close it because we have code below it, and all the cookies we will be saving here in this example will have the same value. Let's save it into a variable, and the value will be, well, the name of the website, that is NetSecTech. Okay, so for storing a cookie, PHP has a built-in function that is native with the language, and the name is very intuitive, is setCookie. Okay, this function allows us to store a cookie in a browser, and it has a lot of overloads, so we will be checking all of them. And the most naive way to store a cookie is just by saying its name and its value. So the first parameter we pass to the function is the name of the cookie, that in this case would be, let's say, 0, to have a numbered cookies for being able to recognize here in the table. 0, save it from PHP, and this is the naive way. Okay, and the value of the cookie is just value. We save, we reload, and here we have the cookie. Okay, this is a cookie that the name is 0 PHP naive. The value is NetSecTech. The domain for this cookie to be accessible is netsectech.dev. The path from where the cookie can be accessed is examples cookies. That is the path where this cookie was saved. This cookie expires when the session ends. If you watch the video I recommend you, I said that every time we store a cookie in a browser we have to specify the expiration date, and if we don't, the cookie will expire when the browser session ends, and that is when you close the web browser. So this is what is happening here. The size, this is size in bytes, and it depends on the length of the value of the cookie. And these are three properties that we will be handling during the examples. Okay, so Uh, the first overload we can make to this function is for specifying the expiration date of the cookie, and there are two ways to do it. The first one is very useful when you have cookies that expires soon in the future, and that is by referring to the expiration date in terms of how long since now. It means that you will use the time function of PHP to refer to the actual moment, and you will specify how many seconds from now this cookie will expire. So let's create a cookie that expires in, let's say, 10 hours. Okay, this cookie will be named 10 hours expire. And the way to do it is by specifying how seconds you have in 10 hours. Let's say a minute has 60 seconds, an hour has 60 minutes, so 60 times 60 is 3600, and that times 10 is, well, let's say 3600, and just add another 0, and that is 10 hours. We save that, and if we refresh the page, we have here this cookie that the name is 10 hours expire, and for instance right now is December 9, and this is 1 and 15 o'clock, and this cookie will expire in December 9, 10 and 15 o'clock. So this cookie will expire 10 hours from now. So, but this is useful when your cookie expires relatively soon. But what if you have a cookie that will expire in, let's say, 20 years? Okay, that is really hard to express in terms of how many seconds from now. So you can specify the actual date of the expiration date of the cookie. So let's store a second cookie that will be to PHP someday expire. And for doing this, we will use a function of PHP that is str to time, and to this function you have to provide the date in this format: y, month, day. Okay, so let's say that we want the cookie to expire in May the 9th of 2042. I mean, that's really far in the future. So we save this, we reload the page, and here we have the second cookie that expires on May the 9th, 2042. So as you can see, this is the way to specify the expiration date of the cookie when the cookie expires soon, and this is the way to specify the expiration date of the cookie when this cookie expires very far in the future. Okay, I mean, you can use whenever you want, but you will feel comfortable with this convention to use time plus the seconds for soon, and str to time for expiration dates that are far in the future. So the next overload we can use to this function is to specify the scope of the cookie, that is the path we can see here. For a better explanation of this, I will first just use it. Let me take advantage of this. These cookies I have been storing are accessible under examples cookies, but what if I have a cookie that I want to be accessible from all the domain, that means from all path? So for doing this, I just have to specify this will be session cookies. If I put a 0 here, this will expire when the session ends, and the path I want to be the root of the domain. I save, refresh, and here we have. I am pretty sure that just by doing this you don't really understand how this works. So let's make a little sample. Let's create a folder here with the name test, and inside that folder create a file index.php. I will copy this to that file, and this will be the inner page. Okay, and here we will save a naive cookie. Inner cookie. Cookies by default has the path where they are created. So we can go here to netsec-dev /examples cookies /test. This is the inner page, and if we see the cookies we have here, we have this inner cookie. Okay, and this cookie is accessible from this path, including test. So if we go to this web page and we refresh, as you can see, we don't have the inner cookie here, and we should have it, because as you can see in this page, I am not saving all the cookies we have saved before, but I have them available here. Why? Because these cookies are available below this path. This one is available in all the domain, and this here. So inner cookie could be available here, but it is not, because this URL doesn't complain with the path of that cookie, because this cookie is available just under the test folder. So if I have below examples cookies test, I have this cookie, but in this case I am not inside test, so that cookie is not available here. That's the meaning of path in a cookie. And let's take advantage of this file I just created here to explain you a thing. As you can see, I am being saving cookies in the first lines of the file, and that's not casual. Let's try to save a cookie, let's say here. Okay, if we are going to save a cookie here in the middle of the file, we open PHP and close it, and let's say we have to set cookie, the name of the cookie, sorry dude, and with the value. Save. We refresh this page, and where is the cookie? There is no cookie here. Why? Well, in the case of cookies that are being saved on the server side, cookies are saved, are exchanged between server and client in the headers of the communication. So if we have just sent the first character of the document, the headers have passed and we are in the payload of the package. So after we send the first character, okay, it's not like, no, the first line, I am just in the head of the page. No. If you send the first character, your time has passed to store cookies from the server side. A way to check this is that set cookie actually returns a value, is a boolean that is true if it was successfully saved, and false if something failed. So we can store the value here, let's say first, and here we can store a value second, like the first attempt to store a cookie and the second attempt. And here, after the inner page heading, let's show the content of that variables. First, and second. we save, we reload the page, and as you can see, first is in true because the save of this cookie was successfully made, but the second is in false because it failed. Why? Because the headers had already passed and this cookie could not be saved. So it is very important that if you are developing in PHP and you want to store a cookie with PHP language, you have to store the cookie before any HTML is sent to the client. Okay, that is very important. Say that, let's back to the mainstream of this video. So which other overload we can provide here? Well, as you can see here, you have the domain from where the cookie is accessible. This is something similar to the path, but in this case is about the domain and subdomains of the cookie. So if we have a cookie that we want to be accessible from all subdomains, we just have to specify as a domain the same that we are with a dot in front. So, okay, if we say here, for instance, suppose that we have a shop in a subdomain, if we say shop, then we will be saving a cookie that is only accessible inside this subdomain. But if we left this as dot, this cookie is accessible from all the subdomains of this domain. I mean, from the domain and all its subdomains. And it's very important that is the same to put the dot and not put it at all. The thing is that it's recommendable to put it because there are some browsers that have compatibility issues and they need to read this dot in order to work well. So if we refresh here, we have that cookie. In this case you can see the dot because I specified it here, but it's the same of this one. Okay, it means that it's accessible from this domain and all its subdomains. So the next overload we have, so by the way, in this case I will not make the example of creating a subdomain because that is a bit too much for just this example. Okay, so the next overload we have is the one that deals with this column here, secure, and let's check how it works. Okay, this means that you are storing a cookie that will be exchanged just if you are over HTTPS. Okay, just if you are using SSL encryption or cipher, you can exchange this cookie. As you can see, the value by default is false, but you can say true, and it means that this cookie is just accessible from HTTPS. In this case, sorry, we have the cookie because we are actually under HTTPS, and the cookie can be seen here. But if you have this kind of cookies, these cookies are not sent in a communication that is not ciphered. So this is a good practice to use when you know you are in a website that has a valid SSL certificate for using HTTPS. And the last overload we have, sorry, set cookie, is the one that deals with this column, HTTP only. Okay, and what means HTTP only? It means that you can specify that the cookie you are saving cannot be accessible from scripts in the client side. This cookie can only be read by the server when exchanging the headers of the communication. Okay, so let's call it 6, and this cookie is the no JavaScript cookie, the no JavaScript. Okay, as you can see, HTTP only by default is in false, and we can set it at true. We save it, we reload the page, and here we have the no JavaScript cookie, and this is HTTP only, and it's secure also because we left this in true. Later in the video we will be able to check that this cookie is actually not accessible from JavaScript. So by now I just want to show you how to delete a cookie. Okay, actually in PHP there is no function to delete a cookie. So how is it done? You just have to specify an expiration date in the past. If you store a cookie with an expiration date in the past, that cookie is already deleted. It's a pre-deleted cookie. Okay, so it will be something like this. Let's say that okay, we have this first cookie for this to be very visible. If we overwrite the cookie with an expiration date in the past, let's say right now minus 10 hours, this cookie will be deleted. That's the way the cookies are deleted. So if we reload here, the cookie is not there anymore. You see? We don't have the 0 PHP naive. Why? Because the way in which we can delete a cookie is by overriding the cookie with an expiration date in the past. So let's say here that is 7 PHP deleted, save, we reload, and here we have the 0, but there is no 7 because this cookie is already deleted. Okay, so the way to delete a cookie is override it with an expiration date in the past. Okay, and now this turns interesting. From PHP 7.3, and this is where it's very important to have a good hosting. From PHP 7.3 there is another way to store a cookie. First of all, we have to check that we have PHP 7.3 in our server. The best way to do that is to create a file. Let's call it info.php, and in that file let's open PHP and use this function php info. Okay, you pass no parameter and you don't have to echo this function because this function will export all the data by itself. Okay, so that will be in this path and in a file called info.php. If we go there, as you see, this is the result of just calling this function. It shows you all the information about the PHP version you have installed in the server. And the first thing is the version. We have 7.3.12. It means that we have 7.3. something, so we have available this another way to store cookies, and it is very useful because there is one thing that can only be implemented if you have this way to save the cookie. So let's check how is it done. It's the same function, set cookie. Sorry, the name of the cookie in this case, let's say 8.php, the value, and now instead of starting saying all the parameters and so on, you can set the options in an associative array. The way to do it is to create an array here, and then here you can specify all these properties you mentioned before. Let's say, for instance, the expiration date is in a value of expires, and let's put it at 0, so this is a session cookie. The next thing is the path, and let's put this cookie accessible from all the folders of the domain. The next is the domain, and if we left it as an empty string, it will take the default value. The next is the HTTPS stuff, that is named secure. This is a boolean, let's put it into true, the default value is false. The next is the HTTP only property. HTTP only, that is for not being able to use this cookie from JavaScript. And in this case, let's left in false, because we want to be able to use these cookies from JavaScript. Actually, set it at false is the same as don't say anything, but I want to put it here for you to be able to check how the property is named, because this is the key of the associative array. And here is the improvement. This HTTP only was the last property you could specify using the traditional way to save a cookie. But if you are using this syntax, you can specify the same site property of that cookie. And what same site is? Well, if you already watched the video I recommend you at the beginning of this video, I told in that video that a cookie can be used in a first-party context and in a third-party context. So this property is to block the use of this cookie in a third-party context. Let's say that you don't want this cookie to be sent from a page that is not the one that wrote the cookie. And that is the concept of a third-party cookie. So this cookie, you don't want to work in a third-party context. So for doing that, you save this cookie with a strict value in this property. And let's say this cookie, the name is the same site strict. We save that, and if we reload the page, we can see this cookie that the same site property is in a strict mode. So this cookie will not be sent in a third-party context. So it could seems like the very last solution to privacy, but in fact it is a bit annoying, because this kind of cookies are not useful when you are dealing with social networks, for instance, because let's suppose that Facebook use this kind of cookies of a strict. That means that if you see a post of another person or some content that is actually from Facebook in any page, if you click in that content, when you go to Facebook, you are not logged in, because you didn't send your session cookie to Facebook in a third-party context, and you have to manually log in. So this is good, for instance, for banks. I mean, if you want to make a transaction that implies real money of your bank account, you don't want to be pre-logged in. So it is preferable to have to log in again, because these are applications where the security is very important. But for the context of social networks, this is not good. So here is where it comes the other possible value of this property, that is, instead of strict, lax. Lax, and the name will be lax here, and let's put a 9 here. We save it, we refresh, and this is the lax. Okay, what lax means? It means that by default this cookie will not be sent in a third-party context but it will if this third-party context is due to a click of the user in a link that has a safe HTTP method. This means that if you are watching a website that has content from other website, when you are retrieving that content, you don't send your cookie. But if you click in a link to that page to go there, then you go there with your cookies, like in a third-party context. But that is just if the user goes there by clicking a link or making a safe HTTP method. Okay, so lags is the actual most used method, and is strongly recommendable for developers to use. It's a shame that in these days, even when lags is available in some languages and implemented in a lot of browsers from quite long, the developers don't use this too often, but they should. And there is actually some initiatives from the IETF recommending that the default value of all the cookies are same site and lags, because actually if you don't provide the same site option, by default is none, that is not strict, nor lags, is just send it everywhere, and is the less secure method to use cookies. Okay, so this is the way, and now all the the methods are explained to store a cookie using PHP. Now let's check how to read the content of a cookie. To read the content of a cookie are always sent to the server when you make a request. So cookies are pre-available in the code. For doing that, let's open a code here, PHP, and we close it. And we have in PHP a super global variable that the name is cookie. Okay, this one. This super global variable contains all the cookies of the web page. So let's show its contents. It is safer to put it inside an if, and we say if a cookie is an associative array, so we can say that if count of cookie is greater than 0, it means that it has some cookie. Then we will show the content of those cookies. So let's say we say echo there are cookies, and for showing the content of the cookies, let's use this. Let's say that we have the cookie names. The cookie names that will be the keys of that associative array. So let's use the function array keys to get the keys of that array. Array keys of cookies. Here you have. So in this variable we have an array of the names of the cookies, and then we can make a for each, and let's say for each cookie name, let's call cookie, and in this variable we will have the name of the cookie. So for each we make an echo in which we will put the name of the cookie and the value of the cookie. So let's put a dots here, and let's concatenate the value of the cookie that is, that is inside cookie in the, okay, I had lost the cookie. Okay, and let's put a break line here, because if we don't, we will have all that information in just one line. Break row, save, and I think that's good. Let's refresh, and here we have. They are not well sorted, and here are the content of all the cookies. Okay, so this is the way we can access the cookies in PHP by using the name of the superglobal, variable named cookie. In this case, I made this code as if I don't know the name of each cookie, but if you already know the name of the cookie, you don't have to check these array keys. You can go directly to the cookie you are requesting. Let's say that you know that you have this cookie, PHP naive. So let's put 2 break lines here, just a HR, and in that way this will be differentiated from the rest of these things. And you can say, I know that that the naive cookie has, and you go directly to the content of the naive cookie. If you know that the cookie has this name, you go there. Save, reload, and I know that the naive cookie has netstack dash. That is, suppose that in this case is netstack naive. Okay, netstack naive. So this is the way we retrieve cookies in PHP. So how to do it in JavaScript? In JavaScript, let's go in the other way. We will first show how to read cookies. How to read cookies, and then I will show you how to write cookies. For instance, in JavaScript, let's open a script here, script, and close it. The T script. Okay, now in JavaScript, there we have an API, a way to deal with cookies by using the document cookie variable. So let's create a var cookies, and it is document dot cookie. Even if it is written in singular, it contains all the cookies of the web page. So let's put an alert here with the content of that variable. Save, reload. There is something missing here. I saved it. Save, reload. Something is not right here. Cookies. Sorry. Save again. Reload. Here we are. As you can see here, we have the content of all the cookies delimited by semicolons. And check this out, the no JavaScript cookie, the 6, is not here. You can see we jump from the 5 to the 8. We cannot see the 6 because it is just for HTTP protocol, and we cannot see the 7 because it is already deleted because the expiration date is in the past. So this way you can check that if you store a cookie with this parameter in true, you cannot see the cookie from JavaScript. Okay? And for ending, okay, of course, the way to take the specific value of some cookie, you can just deal with the string you have in this variable and play with that. And to store cookies, here it comes interesting. The behavior of this variable is not like a common variable. Let's check how. Here we can say document.cookie equals, and how do we store a cookie in JavaScript? Okay, now in one line we have to specify all the parameters. So the way to do it is by using a string, and we will say first the name of the cookie. Let's say from JavaScript. Equals the value of the cookie, netsectec. So the next property, we will say it is delimited by a semicolon, and it's when it expires. It expires, and for giving this, the format is different. Let's suppose that we want to specify that this cookie also expires in the May the 9 of 2042. We have to say it expires on Friday 9 of May 2042 at 12 with 0 minutes. Oh, sorry, with 0 minutes and 0 seconds in UTC time zone. And we can also specify the path, for instance, that will be in all the path of the website. Okay, we save it, and let's comment this alert. We save, and what do you see? What do you think that will happen? Because if we have the cookies of the document here, and after doing this, we change the value of this variable for this, we will be overriding all the cookies of the website, and at the end, this variable loses all its content, and now its content is just this one. But let's see what happened. If I refresh here, hey, here is the cookie that was saved from JavaScript, but the previous cookies are not lost. They are here. Strange. Well, let's do something like this. Okay, I say this, and then I say no, this cookie, the cookie I want is not this one, it's this one. Okay, let's save and let's refresh. Wow, the previous cookie wasn't deleted, and you can say yes because you put the expiration date in the past. No, believe me, if I delete all the cookies of the page and I reload, we have both of them here, because in JavaScript the behavior of this variable is not like a common variable. Every time you store a cookie here, this cookie is not overriding the content of the variable, but is appending to the array of cookies that the web page have. So I think that with this I have covered all the ways to write and read cookies from the server side using PHP and from the client side using JavaScript. Sorry if the video is a bit long, but I want to make all this in just one video, and this is the time that that it takes. So thank you very much if you are still watching. Remember that if you want to help me doing more videos like this one you have in the channel, please subscribe, give me a like, and if you want to get a notification every time I upload a video, click on the bell. So this was NetSec, and have a nice day.